Vespasian was a self-made man who was able to advance in the empire through his own skill. He started construction of Rome's most iconic monument and put the empire back on track after years of mismanagement under Nero and the subsequent civil war. However, when he was born, nobody would have been able to foresee his ascendance to Roman emperor. Vespasian was the last emperor of the year of the four emperors and the first emperor of the Flavian dynasty in Rome. He was born 17 November 9 AD into what we can consider as Rome's middle class, and Vespasian was reluctant to enter into public life, but was taunted by his mother to follow in his big brother's footsteps. Vespasian and his brother were the first in his family to become senators, and Vespasian was modestly successful, holding minor magistracies in his youth and climbing the Cursus Honorum. Despite the fact that Vespasian had a wife and 3 children, he also had a mistress, a woman named Antonia Canis, a freedwoman and a secretary to Antonina Minor, the grandmother to Emperor Caligula. And it's been theorized that this connection to the imperial household may have contributed to Vespasian's success in getting the praetorship in 39. And when Claudius became emperor in 41 AD, Vespasian was appointed legate of the legion's Second Augusta, apparently with the help of Narcissus, one of Claudius's very influential freedmen. And when Claudius started the invasion of Britain in 43 AD, the Second Augusta was one of the legions selected to take part. Overall command of the invasion was put on Aulus Plautius, but Vespasian played a major role and was sent to secure the southern coast of the island, penetrating as far as Cornwall. He captured 20 towns and hill forts in his time in Britain, and this earned him triumphal decorations as well as a consulship in 51, after which he retired from public life, having incurred the enmity of Claudius's wife, Agrippina, due to his apparent friendship with Narcissus, and he was awaiting a proconsular position in the provinces, which came in 63 when he was sent to Africa. The historian Tacitus writes that his rule was infamous and odious, while Suetonius claims that he was upright and highly honourable. What is known, however, is that he didn't leave richer than when he came, which suggests at least he didn't extort enormous sums of money from the province, which was almost expected from a politician to be able to pay for their earlier political career and get a good retirement fund. It is said that his economic situation was so bad that he had to sell his estates and even turned to the mule trade, granting him the nickname Mulio, or the muleteer. After his governorship in Africa, he accompanied Nero in his grand tour of all the games of Greece in 66. However, Vespasian got bored listening to Nero's singing and lyre rehearsals, and he often fell asleep, which seems to have angered the emperor, and Vespasian was dismissed from court. And he was terrified that Nero would have him killed, so he fled to a small town to hide out. But soon he got the message from the emperor. He was to be sent to Judea to suppress the Jewish revolt in the region. Vespasian was picked for the job because Nero didn't fear him. He was of so low birth that he could never pose a threat to the emperor, and of course due to his military ability. The situation in Judea was near catastrophic. The governor had been killed, and when the governor of the neighboring province of Syria had moved in to crush the revolt, he had been ambushed with 2 legions, and one of them had lost their eagle. There was a superstition originating from Judea that the rulers of the world would come from there. That, along with religious tensions, were the spark of the revolt. Vespasian landed in April of 67 with 2 legions in Ptolemais, modern-day Acre. He was soon joined by his son Titus, along with the legion from Alexandria. He was also joined by local allies. His total force numbered around 60,000 soldiers, and he started his campaign by marching into Galilee, and many towns gave up without a fight. In Galilee he captured Josephus, who was left in overall command in the region by the revolt leaders in Jerusalem. He switched sides and joined Vespasian in his campaign, and he would later write an historical account of Vespasian's campaign in Judea. By the year 68, Jewish resistance in Galilee had been crushed. Vespasian proceeded by securing the coastline, setting up his headquarters in Caesarea. In the spring of 68, Vespasian continued his campaign into Judea proper, subduing rebel-held strongholds, progressing towards the Samarian highlands. However, due to the political turmoil in Rome, Vespasian left command to his son Titus, who would finish off the campaign while Vespasian went to Egypt to secure its grain supply, and effectively getting a stranglehold on Italy and Rome, which were reliant on its shipments of grain. Meanwhile in Rome, Nero had committed suicide after being declared an enemy of the state, at which point Galba had been proclaimed emperor. Galba would soon thereafter be murdered by the Praetorian Guards in a plot by Otho. So Otho had been proclaimed emperor, but he only sat on the throne for 3 months, and when he was defeated by Vitellius' forces in northern Italy, he committed suicide. So Vitellius had been proclaimed emperor of Rome. However, the troops who had been loyal to Otho were still discontent, and when the troops in Egypt proclaimed Vespasian as their emperor in June 69, they were quick to sign up. The legions of Syria, Judea, Moesia, Pannonia and Illyricum declared for Vespasian. The plan was that the governor of Syria would march into Italy and depose Vitellius. However, the Danube legions, under the command of Antonius Primus, were closer to Italy, so they entered northern Italy and defeated Vitellius' forces at the Second Battle of Bedriacum and entered Rome to depose Vitellius, who was dragged from his hiding spot, tortured and killed. During the fighting in the capital, Vespasian's older brother, Sabinus, had been killed, and the temple of Jupiter Optimus Maximus had been burnt down. Vespasian was now the sole ruler in the empire, and he was proclaimed emperor 21st of December 69 by the Senate. Upon his ascension to the imperial throne, the empire was in a bad state. The years of civil war and previous mismanagement under Nero had seen the treasury emptied. The first order of business was therefore to restore the empire's finances. He did so by revoking the tax exemption granted to Greece by Emperor Nero after his tour in 66 to 67 AD, and introduced a urine tax on public toilets. In a famous conversation Vespasian had with his son, who blamed him for taxing even urine, Vespasian responded by holding up a coin to Titus' nose, asking, "Does it smell?" Titus replied, "No." Yet Vespasian replied, "It's derived from urine. Money does not stink." Unfortunately, much of Vespasian's rule is left a mystery. We don't know when he actually sailed to Rome. His trip had been delayed due to bad weather. He presumably entered Italy sometime during the year 70. Vespasian's rule was met with resistance almost from the start. In January of the year 70, an uprising occurred in Gaul and Germany, instigated by the Batavi, a Roman subject state in Germania. The same tribe who had assisted Vitellius in defeating Otho at the First Battle of Bedriacum. This rebellion was however defeated by Vespasian's brother-in-law, Quintus Pitilius, by the end of the year 70. And in the year 78 or 79, Vitellius' old general Aulus Caecina tried to murder Vespasian, the reasons for which is unknown. And upon his ascension to the imperial throne, Vespasian was sort of a new man in Roman politics, lacking family connections and a legacy. So to secure his rule, he embarked on a propaganda campaign to make sure he could control public opinion. He financed various writers to ensure biases against him were removed. And it's striking how favorable these sources are towards Vespasian and negative they are towards previous emperors. Some of our main sources come from this period, like Tacitus, Suetonius, and Josephus. Meanwhile in Judea, Titus had been successful in besieging Jerusalem, and subsequently plundered the city, the spoils of which was to be used in the construction of Rome's most iconic building, the Flavian Amphitheatre, or better known as the Colosseum. This was also probably part of Vespasian's propaganda campaign as well. It was built on the location of Nero's Golden House, a structure for Nero's own pleasure. Meanwhile, Vespasian's monument would benefit the whole city. He also finished the temple of the deified Emperor Claudius and the Temple of Peace on the Forum. All of Vespasian's building projects breathed new life into Rome's economy, beautified the city and created lots of jobs for its citizens, which also increased his popularity. After ruling the empire for 10 years, putting the empire back on track after Nero's disastrous reign and the subsequent civil war, Vespasian died from sickness in his bed, a rare feat for a Roman emperor. Feeling death coming on, Vespasian called out, "Dear me, I think I'm becoming a god." His last words as an emperor were, "An emperor ought to die standing." And while struggling to get up from his sickbed, he died in the arms of his attendants. At the age of 69 years old, he died 24th of June, 79 AD. And he's the first Roman emperor to be succeeded by his own biological son, Titus. Hey guys, and thanks for watching the video. If you're new to SPQR history, I would suggest that you subscribe to the channel and leave a like on this video, as we plan to make a video for each and every Roman emperor. Suggested reading and sources are in the description of the video, and I hope to see you in the next video where we're going to check out Vespasian's successor, Titus. Hope to see you then.